Well, let's see, where do I start?
Florida.
The beginning.
Florida. Start at the beginning. Florida. You know, anytime you lose, you're disappointed. But at the same time, I felt like a lot of things were really positive out of that whole situation. We competed hard. The kids were in a good spot. You know, mentally had them on the ropes in their environment, in front of a sold out crowd, in the O-Dome, and we missed an opportunity on Florida really to at least put ourselves in a place where we could win going into the final rotation. Instead of being tied, we probably should have been up 2 or 3 tenths, which would have changed the outcome. I don't know if it would or not. You know, over there with them rocking like they were on floor, but nonetheless, an incredible road score. One of the highest road scores in the country. I don't know if it's second or third highest road score in the country, I think, so far this year from anybody. And so a lot of good positive things came out of it. I think the kids understand now that they can compete with anybody. That team's the most loaded roster in the country on paper. And sometimes you got to go through that to really convince yourself that you are good. And I think our kids understand that now. And now we come home with Alabama and another in-conference big-time contest between two great programs, and Alabama's a very good team this year. Very solid on all 4 events, particularly on uneven bars, which is where they'll start. So I expect them to get out to a fast start early in the meet. So we've got to be able to match that starting out in the first event as we go. Hoping for a big crowd again. I know that I don't know if we've ever sold out back to back, but it sure would be nice to see that happen. So I've been anybody I can talk to that trying to get the fans to get in here and get in the seats. It's a later meet. I understand that. I know we got baseball and other things going on campus. But historically, we've been able to. Baseball's been able to have their 12,000, and we've been able to have our 12,000 at the same time. We've had that happen before. So I'm hopeful that this will be no different, and we can both sell out our venues and have a great weekend.
Are you still doing the Missouri meet? Training?
Yeah, it's happening Sunday at noon. So it's going to be a quick turnaround for us. But we told the team this is an opportunity because the postseason will be very similar to this. We'll have an off day in between at regionals and nationals, and so it kind of gives us a dry run. You'd like to be in a little better place health-wise. Alona is out right now. We don't really know the extent of what's going on. It's something with her knee. We had an MRI done a couple of weeks ago that didn't really show anything, but whatever it is has gotten worse, and so we're still trying to get to the bottom of that. So we'll make some changes on Sunday. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. I don't think we're at a place where I want to risk trying to ride, Kaya and Haley. It's the same people for both days just yet, but we've got some bodies that can move and that are doing a good job, and we should be able to go up there and still score well and get some people some experience in different places. So that's if you don't really have depth if you don't use it. So we've got it, and we intend to use some of it this weekend.
Is there a benefit to kind of loading the deck on Friday night for a home meet versus trying to do that on a Sunday?
Well, I think we for sure, want to put a really good foot forward this Friday night for sure. I don't look at it as sort of a loading up or not loading up for the other. It's more just strategically trying to place people. We may have some new faces in Friday too. I'm not saying that we'll necessarily go with all the familiar faces that you've grown accustomed to Friday night, and then not do that on Sunday. I think it'll be a mixture on both ends that gets us where we want to be from a scoring potential perspective.
How's Haley feeling after her flare up?
She's good yesterday. I think what's happening with this thing is that it just keeps tearing little by little. What's left that's under there just keeps tearing little by little. We'd rather it just go ahead and go. And get it over with. So it flares up, it burns, And then a day or so later, she feels pretty good. She practiced yesterday. I did not dismount her on bars. She did a little bit on vault. That was really the only leg event we were doing. But she seemed to run fine and punch the board fine. So we're optimistic that we'll be able to get at least one meet this weekend out of her, if not both in spots. I think both she and Kyle will do both meets. It's just a matter of which one they do 4 and which one they do 2 or 3.
I know you talked about, you always want to win every competition you're in, but you lost that one again. This is what back-to-back meets. You've had high-end 197s this early in the year. What's the advantage there?
Well, I think it shows that we're beginning to hit our stride. We're still behind everybody. Most people have 6 meets. In fact, next week we're probably going to drop out of the rankings, and you guys are going to ask me, well, why are y'all ranked 72nd in the country or whatever? But because we won't have enough scores, I don't think. Maybe we will. Maybe, but I don't know. You'd have to do the math on it, but we're a little bit behind because we missed those 2 weeks, and just in terms of hitting our stride and getting things going. So I'm really proud of where they are. You're talking about essentially meet 2 and 3, and they're pushing the 198 mark, and that's the mark of a good team. The other part that's I find is interesting. We're in a place where we're seeing consistency across the board now. We started a little slow on the floor, but the last 2 meets have come up really, really strong on the floor, and the other 3 events, vault, bars, and beam, are ranked in the top 3 in the country. So when you start to look at the balance that we have, and you dig a little deeper into the numbers, it bodes pretty well. If we can stay healthy and keep moving in the direction that we're moving in, I think we're in a really good spot.
This was just the first time I've gotten to see it this season, but Haley's dismount, could you kind of take us through that and the evolution of that?
On bars?
Yes.
Yeah. So she did a double front dismount, which is she did that as a JO kid. Did that her freshman year. It's difficult to land because it's blind and you can't see it. She lands it, but she does a double front on the floor. Also, for some reason, she has a better awareness there than she did leaving the bar and trying to land it. She'd stay around 95, 97.5 all year long last year, and it was primarily because of that step on the landing that was there 90+% of the time. But as a freshman, you can't really. I generally don't like to mess around with freshmen too much in terms of their skills. I'd like to kind of get to know them, let them get to know us. They go through so many adjustments in their life anyway, and you start trying to tinker with their gymnastics too soon, you can kind of lose them. So I threw the idea out to her. We trained it some last year, just on the side, not really with any real intention of getting it into her routine, knowing that it was probably going to be a year-long project. And she took it on her own this summer and really worked it a lot. And when we came back in August, it looked better than it ever had. And so we were able to get her there. It's a little harder to do from an endurance standpoint. You'd think just that half twist wouldn't be that much harder, but it steals a little bit of that rope. So you've got to have a bigger release on that dismount to be able to do the half than you do just to do the plain double front, if that makes any sense to anybody. So it took us a while, but she got it, and now she sees the landing. When she breaks out of that turn, she can spot the floor, and that's why she's much more consistent with the landing.
Jay, you were talking about Christina Desandario giving what she does, leading off on beam and floor. If you wouldn't mind just talking about that a little bit more again. And is she in the best place that she's been in terms of what she's able to do for the team?
Yeah, Christina is definitely in the best place, headspace. I use that term a lot. That's where she's more comfortable right now in her gymnastics than she's ever been at this stage of a season, for sure. And I just think maturity. She's a 5th year. People don't realize she's a 5th year, but when she arrived on campus as a freshman, she was 16 years old. So she's still relatively young, compared to her classmates. She's 21, and they're 22 or 23 now. So she's just really settled in, and there's just a different level of maturity about her. She's in a different place in her life and a different mindset. I think she would stick around another year if the NCAA would let her, because she really feels like she's got a handle on what her body can do, and she knows how to manage it. She's very good at communicating with us about where she is physically and telling us when she can do more and when she needs to pull back and those kinds of things. And No, Christina is as impressive as they get in that leadoff role on those two events. I don't know that in my career that I've ever had anybody that good, that consistent in those two spots. She's going to be sorely missed when it's over for her.
And when those 5 seniors decided to come back, did it all kind of, was it all at once? Did somebody trigger, did one domino lead to another? What was that like?
Yeah, I don't remember the order in which they kind of let me know. I think Sammy knew from the jump she was coming back. She's just a gym rat and loves gymnastics more than life. And the others, I think, were just trying to figure out, do I go to grad school? Should I move on in my life and go get a real job? Or, it took a little while. I think the two that needed coaxing the most were Bridget and Reagan, just because of where they are physically right now. But once I let them know that we could take it down to one event for them and let them train beam only, that seemed to alleviate a little of that concern. Christina kind of knew early on, but she held out to tell me for sure until after the season was over. She had told me she's leaning that way for a long time, but she waited till the end of the season to kind of make sure that that's what she wanted to do. I think they all knew they wanted to do it. I think it just came down to, had we won the national championship last year, it might have changed. They might not have wanted to come back. They might want to go out on top. But I think the way it ended for us in the semifinals left a little bit of a bad taste in their mouths, and I think that kind of put them over the edge to want to come back.
Since you got 2 beats back to back like this, how are you managing the practice rep this week? Is there anything different you're doing, or is it business as usual?
Yeah, well, we're doing, as far as the days, we're doing the same as we would do for any home meet. So Monday, Tuesday, recovery day Wednesday, and then we'll train again Thursday. We are pulled back a little bit on their numbers. We went real light yesterday on everything, and we'll do a little more on floor today. They won't vault at all today, and then we'll do our main floor workout will be today and not Thursday. So we'll get a vault bars and beam day out on Thursday and kind of take it easy on floor. The only caveat to that might be the ones that by then we should know exactly what the floor lineup's going to look like for Sunday, and we may want to get a little floor out of those people who are not going to compete Friday, because otherwise it would have been since Tuesday that they've done floor and they'll be expected to compete on Sunday. So we're kind of splitting them up. We just don't know exactly what that looks like yet.
And what about the all-around? Do you have any indication of who that might be this weekend?
Nah, I mean, I think, really the only two that have competed for us are Haley and Kaya, and they're probably the only two possibilities of that at this point.